It's very curious that all of a sudden, after 15 years, a very controversial moment in the Bill Clinton presidency, just a week before the election, the documents are released, and that's raising some eyebrows. You understand that?
I do, but when it comes to Jim Comey, I've known him for 20 years. When he worked in the U.S. Attorney's Office as a federal prosecutor, I served at Maine Justice. He's always been known for his integrity, a straight shooter, somebody who bucks the system, doesn't play politics. He's not a partisan guy, and I think that's been demonstrated. You've had Republicans mad at him and now Democrats, but I think in his mind, he always wants the right thing, and I think that's what he certainly this latest new evidence that came up regarding Hillary's emails, the obligation and the word that he gave us in the Congress that he would brief us on any updates with respect to new evidence. Jim Comey kept his word.
Are you not concerned, though, that it looks, at least to a lot of Americans out there, that the FBI, which is highly respected, of course, is becoming political?
Well, we don't want it to politicize ever. I mean, J. Edgar Hoover demonstrated why we don't want that, but we don't want a Justice Department where prosecutors tell FBI agents to stand down on certain matters as well. There have been allegations about that pertaining to the Clinton Foundation. There have been allegations of that pertaining to the Clinton email issue. And I think at the end of the day, you don't want to inject politics into any decision-making at the Justice Department.
Do you still have confidence in the FBI Director, James Comey?
I do, and I think he made a tough choice. Either he could wait on these emails and the American people would find out after the election, or he could let the American people know the truth, that when she goes around the country saying that investigation is over, that it's complete, that's not the fact. That is, in fact, a false statement. We have these new emails that are being analyzed, and we don't know what's in those emails at this point in time. What I worry about are these emails being in the hands of Anthony Weiner, who is now under investigation for, child pornography and spreading over the internet these child porn pictures. I'm worried about what outside adversary nations could have gotten access to the private server. We know she took her devices, as many as 12 of them, into foreign adversary nations that could have picked up what are called special access programs. These are the most highly sensitive, most classified programs in the United States government, many of them covert. And if true, and Comey told me he can't prove it, but it's very likely these foreign adversary nations have these secrets, that undermines not only our national security here, but the men and women serving overseas.
Well, we don't know what's on these emails that were found on Anthony Weiner's computer yet. They're going through that. They're scrubbing at that right now with some new software, and presumably they're going to get some answers fairly soon. Hillary Clinton, as you know, she did have some classified information on her private server, but back in July, Comey decided not to recommend charges against her because he said there was no evidence that any of that was intentional. So if there's some classified information on these new emails involving Huma Abedin's husband, Anthony Weiner, why do you think the FBI would reach maybe a different conclusion this time? Let's say similar emails were discovered.
Well, that's a good question. We know that they have probable cause to seek a search warrant to obtain the laptop that we know Anthony Weiner was using, and God knows where. But that's very significant that they have probable cause to do that. I've argued all along that this should have gone to a grand jury where we could have had a process in play, a legal process without the politics. I've conducted many grand jury investigations. It really takes the politics out of things, and it's unfortunate that hasn't happened. Perhaps now that they have found probable cause to obtain a search warrant, they could go forward in that fashion. I do agree with you, given the period of time and the layers of review at Maine Justice, where I've worked for many years, I think it's very improbable that anything will be reached before the election.
Yeah, there's only a few days left, less than a week now. But do you suspect there's some sort of smoking gun that might be found in these Abedin emails that wound up on her husband's computer?
What they're looking for would be anything marked classified, but also the intent issues you pointed out. Where I disagree with James Comey previously, was to say no reasonable prosecutor would take the case, therefore letting DOJ off the hook. That's a prosecutor's decision, not the FBI's, to make. Having said that, if an email turned up stating, for instance, we know this is classified, but go ahead and send it anyway, that would be the kind of smoking gun I think that the FBI would be looking at.
But there's no evidence of that, at least not yet, right?
Not at all. And I'm not going to pretend that I know what's in the emails. I shouldn't know what's in those emails. That is an FBI investigation done by the Justice Department. But we just hope the right thing is done. And this is the thing,
Chairman,
it's complicated, Wolf. If she is,
very complicated.
if she
Go
is
ahead,
elected,
finish your thought.
If she is elected President of the United States and she is indicted afterwards, it will send this nation into a constitutional crisis, the likes of which we haven't seen since Richard Nixon and Watergate. And I think that's something that we're all concerned about.